This podcast may contain adult language and themes, or it might not. We're not really sure. We haven't recorded it yet.
I'm Jason.
I'm Diggs.
I make software, music, and podcasts.
I connect people personally and professionally, and I like talking with Jason.
This is the Candy Factory 5x5 podcast.
5 conversations.
5 random topics.
5 minutes each.
When we hear this sound,
we move on to the next topic. Next.
On every episode, we invite a very special guest to join us.
Hi, and I'm Justin Chlan, and I'm the manager of Global Talent Management Systems and Projects for Densply Sirona.
That's awesome. Justin, welcome to the show. It's so great to have you on the program.
Thank you, gentlemen.
This has been a long time in coming.
It has.
Diggs, my friend, always a pleasure. Always good to see you.
You too.
We have so many exciting things to share. First of all, episode 31, welcome back. We skipped a couple of weeks of 5x5s and released some of our 3x3 episodes. In preparation for this brand new format, we are officially going video.
Woo!
As of right now.
Or right then.
Welcome to the new and improved Candy Factory 5x5. It's an honor and a pleasure to be back with you.
Thanks for having me as the inaugural.
Oh, you bet. And one other thing to mention before we get started with the show is the Candy Factory 5x5 podcast is now officially part of the Candy Factory Collective, which is the media arm of the Candy Factory, the co-working space that we all work out of. And we're going to be launching a whole bunch of new shows coming up over the next few weeks. So sort of stay tuned on all the Candy Factory social media and the Candy Factory feeds. And we'll mention the stuff here, too, on 5x5, the new shows we're rolling out and what you can catch coming to you from the Candy Factory Collective. So here we are on video. Now it's not just an audio experience, an audio treat.
We're sorry. We apologize.
Yeah.
Do we need to be careful about making visual references or anything? Or
You know what? Anything goes, man. This is 5x5.
Yeah.
This is fun. So if you're new to the program, the way it works is we have an iPad. His name is Frank, and Frank is going to dish up 5 random topics. We're going to be presented with the first topic, and Frank will count down 5 minutes. We'll chat about that topic, and when we hear a little music, we will move on to the next topic, and then we will wrap up after the fastest 25 minutes in podcasting. You guys ready to go?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Here it is, episode 31 of 5x5. Frank, what is the first topic? Tiny homes. Tiny homes. Justin, where are you with tiny homes?
I think I'm pro tiny home, and here's why. Every time you move, and I don't know how often you guys have moved, you end up hopefully getting rid of more things. And for me, I think that's pretty therapeutic, having fewer things than more. So I think I'm
purge. Right, it's the purge.
The purge.
So have you ever been in one?
I'm not.
Right, I've only seen him on TV. Right, I've only seen him like on those shows where they talk about, they made the home out of the shipping cart or whatever.
Right. It's like the shipping container, and then it's half the container, and then it's like
right. And we've got a spa and a living room and a 70-inch TV, and it's all in this little closet. I've never actually been in one. It's intriguing. Diggs, have you ever been in one?
Well, I was going to ask, do the really compact studios count? Because in New York, there's tons of those with the way that you pull things down for beds and
the Murphy bed.
Yeah, thank you. Murphy bed, is the dining room table version of that a Murphy table? But it's everything that gets kind of shifted around in those small studios. I feel like I think they should count, even though I know that's not technically a tiny home unto itself.
Right. No, it's a very similar concept. It's like this technology is not new. It's just this idea, I think, of creating this thing, either building it or prefabbing it or whatever, and plopping it down, and it's like. It looks like it looks like a little shed. Like it looks like like a little shed, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Well,
and it's a whole house.
I got a commercial, not a commercial, one of those ads for this new. I don't know if it's new, but there's a shed, a prefab shed company that's been trying to get their guest home versions out into the market, and I think it was 18,000 or something. It was wanna safely quarantine with friends? Like, put this prefab like shed in your backyard.
In their backyard, yeah.
Oh, and then invite people to come over and live in the shed? Is that the way it works?
I don't know. I was kind of confused why I got it.
I think the value of those two is you can put them on a trailer. So you can kind of move. There's a lot of portability and flexibility within these tiny homes. And there's communities where, similar to like mobile home parks,
right,
that you can kind of move your tiny home park to. And Diggs, I don't know how much you've talked about your love of trains, but imagine, booking a train car and putting your tiny home on it and then going to your next location.
I never really considered that, but I guess you're right. Like, it's sort of like a mobile home in the sense that you can sort of, are they built, so they're built in a way where you can sort of detach them from the utilities and
I believe so. I could be completely fabricating this.
No, we're just making this shit up. That's just the way we do it here.
I'm pretty sure that sounds right.
No, that's it. I actually had a client whose son opened one of those parks in Colorado. But I think he was doing it. I didn't realize the mobility of it in that context, but because I think what his son did was created like a vacation destination. Like he bought like, I don't know, 15 of them, right? And put them around the this plot of land. And the idea was, yeah, you can come and stay at our tiny home park. Here and I guess it works. It's sort of like a hotel. It's like a hotel. It kind of reminds me of like little cabins,
Right.
Those. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is that the point? Is it? Did they look like cabins?
Yeah, that was the idea. But instead of doing cabins, it was like sort of a novelty. Right? It's like riding on this tiny home movement, right, or popularity that's kind of happening right now. But I want to circle back around to Justin's move comment. Have you moved a lot, Justin? Have you been?
I've only moved as an adult twice.
Oh, wow.
But each time it's been wonderful because I don't need any of these things. I am not moving
each time.
Yeah.
Dick, did you move around a lot?
No. I mean, now 6 years out of college. I've moved twice. I've moved once since then. So, no, I like kind of staying put. What about you, Jim?
Oh, I've just moved a ton. I mean, I lived in Nashville out of college back in the 90s, and I was, I think I was there 6 years, and I had 7 different addresses, just in those 6 years.
Was it always to bigger, better abodes, or?
No, just... stories for another 5x5. Clearly,
totally fair.
Things went awry. So that's going to do it for topic number 1, tiny homes. Let's see what Frank dishes up for us. Topic number 2. We're moving on. I've been working on my. Even during our break, I practiced my segue making, and I just that was a fail. Here's topic number 2: dating deal breakers. Deal breakers.
Having a tiny home. No.
I feel like we need a laugh track there. That felt like a sitcom laugh track moment. So, any dating deal breakers for you, Diggs?
I'm thinking. Definitely like stuck-upness. If that's can I make that into an attribute? I don't have time for that. It's just not cool. Like, at least be a good human being. I feel like that's just a decent thing to ask of anyone that you're going to be, around on a regular basis, dating or a friend or whatever. So
right,
don't be an asshole.
That's a good benchmark to start with. I think I'd use that word properly. Just don't be a jerk. Justin, how about you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's probably all going to be a similar line of thinking, but just being like lack of consideration or empathy for the other partner. Maybe just not taking certainly as someone who's a little bit older,
Yeah.
and has kind of developed the way that I operate. I'm almost 45. I think at this point now, it's accepting who that person is, and not necessarily trying to change them,
Yeah.
but kind of accepting and working with that. I think maybe at a younger age, maybe that's a little bit different, and it's something that I need to always be mindful of when I'm with someone, is that they have their lives and the things that they do, and need to be respectful of that.
Right. Absolutely. I'm kind of going back in time, because it's been a long time since I sort of would have been dating people. Sort of like you meet somebody and you're like, hey, let's go out for dinner. And I don't really remember. I don't really remember any specific deal breakers, but I do remember some like dates that I guess were perceived
well.
differently.
Oh.
Like
Yeah,
for example,
that's a problem.
Like for example, when you're on a date and you feel like, man, this is really working, and it turns out that is really not the shared perception at the table. So I think dovetailing this into to any kind of like bad dating story would probably be a good place to go. There was one particular woman that I was on a date with when I lived in Nashville. I was a young man, about 23 or so. She was a little bit older than me, and I was just smitten with this woman. And we went out on a date, and I took her to a really nice restaurant, and way above my league. You know what I mean? Like just in terms of like, I didn't have any money. You know what I mean? But I like scraped together all my cash, and we went to this fancy restaurant. I even wore a jacket, I think, like a blazer, and yeah, and I just felt like it was going really well, and boy, it just, by the end of the night, it just sank, and it was.
What was it?
It was devastating. What do you mean?
What was the cliff?
That she just didn't like me.
Oh.
Yeah, I really liked her, and she just didn't like me at all.
Did she have any like signal, like a friend calls?
There was no signal that I picked up on. Like, I was just too, I think, naive. I don't think I was experienced enough to know that there was she was probably sending them out like fireworks. You know what I mean? She was probably like launching those motherfuckers right into the air, and I just was not looking. You know what I mean? Like, Justin, how about you? Any like just tragic?
It was a blind date, and I think the only one that I went on, and we ended up getting a drink, and she said, "Excuse me, I need to step out."
Oh no!
No, she came back.
Okay.
She had been living with an ex-boyfriend in the hotel right next door to where we were having a cocktail, and she needed to go retrieve her wallet from this kind of no-tell motel that was next door. And that was the last time I saw that young lady.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
Dick, you we've got about 25 seconds.
Well, there was my favorite was the double blind date, because neither of us knew it was a setup. We were supposed to meet the same person. Like, I guess maybe this is a classic setup. We were supposed to meet the same person at a place, and then like person never showed up. Our mutual friend never showed up, and it turned into this awkward, because I didn't know the other person at all.
Well, I'm sorry to say, but it's time to get the check and end this date. We're moving on to topic number 3 of this episode's 5x5, which is, hey, how about that one? Video games. Games made of video. I'm just gonna start this by saying I got off the ship around the Atari 2600. I'm gonna say 1984. I think I played E.T. once or twice, and then that was it. Just ruined it for me. Never even got to Nintendo.
Yeah, but why?
I remember watching a friend's kid do the Mario thing. That was it.
But what about like Commodore 64 and those early PC gaming machines?
We had an Apple IIe, which was really just a green screen.
Did you mean Wally?
That I could. There was no games.
Oregon Trail.
There was Oregon Trail, but I didn't have it. So I would just write these little loop programs that would just say things like, hi. And that's as far as that went. But I'm just getting myself out of the way so I can hand it over to whoever wants to run with video games, because that's all.
No. I still want to know, what was it about E.T.?
It's the worst game in the history of video games.
It really is.
Oh.
Yeah. Atari
what was
released
the point of it?
Atari released a video game called E.T. There's a documentary you can find on one of the Flixes that is really effective. You seen that, Justin?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a great documentary about the sort of downfall of this time at Atari.
Is it called like E.T. Went Home or something?
I can't remember what it's called, but
I don't think it had any
E.T. Go
special
Home, You're
name.
Drunk.
yeah, no, it's just just Google documentary about E.T. the video game, and it's a fascinating story. And I'm 48, so I was living it. I was like the Stranger Things kids, like right at that age. And, E.T. was a big movie, and we got the game, and it was the most horrendous thing. Justin, did you ever play it?
I did. So I started off with an Atari 2600, and what would happen is the game would start, E.T. would go, he'd fall into a hole, and he could never get out.
That's it.
And you'd restart the game. He'd go in, he'd fall into a hole, you can't get him out, and that's it. And then you threw the game away.
And people bought it. Like this wasn't just like like we actually purchased it, and it was like, that's it.
Yeah.
So we just went out and played football in the yard or something. I don't know.
But I moved on from that. So my father was a director of manufacturing for Commodore. So we started with the Commodore 64, and he would just bring stacks of diskettes home. And my brother and I just played every game available for free. And so all through all the Commodore products, to the 128, to all the Amigas, and we were very blessed and had every game we could ever want.
That is like we daydream about that sort of thing. That's epic, right?
Oh yeah. Yep.
That's like, it reminds me of this friend of my parents, like this couple, that were friends of my parents, and the guy, they lived in Chicago, and the guy was like an arcade game vendor. So he was like a distributor of arcade games. And so he would come to visit us in Pennsylvania, and he would tell me, like, I've got a warehouse with 8,000 games in it stacked up. And if you walked in the warehouse, you would just walk past it, and they're all set to play. And it would just be like, oh, I want to go to Chicago.
So Diggs, was the PlayStation and the Microsoft One, Xbox, all that stuff?
My first, what was it? The original PlayStation was my first console, but in school we were able to play Oregon Trail as a I don't know if it was like you've done great on like Mavis Beacon, therefore you can play Oregon Trail. I think that's what it was.
It's a deep typing cut, by the way.
Mavis Beacon,
yeah. I don't even know what he just said. I for a minute there I thought,
no, Mavis Beacon was it was the learn how to type. Since we can see
home row.
Yeah. Learning all that and the J and the F and all that. Did I do it properly? No. But did I still play Oregon Trail? Yes.
You're damn right I did.
It gave me points and told me I was doing well, so Oregon Trail time it was. But my favorite game was Gran Turismo, whichever one was out for the original PlayStation, and then whatever MLB game they had for PlayStation,
or whatever it was.
Yeah, and if you look at the graphics for the original PlayStation, they are hilariously bad. And it's just like big blob of pixels come at you, and then you swing big blob of pixels, and then they go somewhere.
That's pretty much the way it was, right? I mean, going all the way back. I mean, now you look at these games, you see Madden and stuff like that, and it's just like, what? This is a real football game.
Yeah, I'm going to throw up.
Well, guess what, guys? Game over, credits 0.
Womp womp.
Well done.
It's time for topic number 4 on this episode's 5x5. Episode 31, I might remind you, our first video episode. Flip-flops or sandals? Flip-flops or sandals? I kind of categorize them as the same. I guess the sandal would be without the toe. Okay,
Yeah,
school
there's
me, school me,
differences.
Diggs.
Yeah, it's. I mean, no, but you were on the right track. It's the flip flop is the toe
It's
between
the toe thing that.
Yeah, the toe string between big toe and fourth toe. What is? How do you count the toes?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a good question. How do you count the toes?
How do you?
To the right of the
is it
big toe? Well, no, I guess it's the left of the big toe on the other foot.
Oh shit, you're right. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, but yeah, between big and the toe next to it is a flip flop. I believe that they have a place, but they are deeply uncomfortable for, long daily use. They're fine at the beach, I think. That's whatever, or if for shower shoes or any other excuse to wear them that you can think of. But I prefer regular just sandals.
Sandals. You're
Yes,
sandal guy.
both and sandals are, in my opinion, if they don't have a strap on the back around your ankle, or if they do or don't, like that's fine to me. It's the
Oh,
same.
you're agnostic to the ankle strap.
Yeah, the back strap, that doesn't bother me.
JC.
If it's open, that's fine.
Yeah, where are you? At?
This is exciting podiatry talk. So I have narrow feet. I said it. I admit it. I have narrow feet. So flip flops ain't going to work for me. I'm going to kick those things off.
Right,
and,
right.
And the thong, I think that goes between the two.
That's exactly a toe thong.
My
Yeah.
toe thong. Yeah. That just feels weird. So I'm a sandal guy. I enjoy when the weather gets warmer or even colder to kind of let the dogs breathe a little bit. They've been cooped up in socks
Absolutely.
and leather all winter. And it's time to give them a little bit of a vacation. So
Let them dogs bark.
let
Wait,
them
no.
bark.
No, let them dogs breathe, I meant to say.
Yeah.
Either one.
I wear flip flops. I wear flip flops. I don't know that I've ever had sandals. I don't know that I've ever had, since I was maybe I'm sure as a kid, my mom would put sandals on my feet. I have no idea. But I'll wear a flop, and I love them for taking the trash out. Just slide.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're great. They're great to have by the door in the summer. I go bare feet. Probably my preference in the summer. Just if I gotta run down the sidewalk, like bare feet's fine. But you got to be careful.
I'm thinking this is something we could all agree on, taking a slight turn to the subject. Socks with sandals or flip flops.
Yeah, there's no good end to that story.
No.
No.
And I love seeing when people do the socks and flip flops.
Mm-hmm.
That confuses me. I don't understand how that can be comfortable in any way, shape, or form. But I've seen it.
I agree. And how about
maybe you'd have to just clip a little hole in the sock to wrap around the thong. I'm thinking.
No. You'll see it's like the.
No, I know
the
they
sock
do it, but
is
that's just not
bunched.
right.
Oh, yes, I agree.
I'm saying if we want to improve that, you could come up with do they have socks? I imagine they would have a sock that would have just the big toe, sleeve. Don't
I
you?
mean,
You know what?
yeah.
Let's take this another direction. What do you guys think of? What do you guys think about those barefoot runner shoes that have the toe?
Oh, right.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
With
They're
the
like-
Vibram.
They're like foot
Stuff,
gloves.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's for barefoot runners.
I know people that swear by them, not just for running, but also on trails.
For
and-
trails?
Yeah, for hiking. Yeah, because they climbers sometimes prefer them because they can really feel the rock.
Right. There's
Yeah, so it's but they don't want to necessarily expose their feet to being cut, so you use the sock mitten.
the toe glove. I'm calling it the toe glove.
The toe glove, the foot glove, the flove. And it's but yeah, no, it's apparently they're really good if you need that type of dexterity with your feet.
Yeah, you're dedicated. You are into that thing that you're doing all the way.
Right. It's alarming to see. To me.
It's kind of like Aquaman or
Yeah,
yeah.
Exactly. It's I remember being in a grocery store, like a market or something, like a small market, and seeing somebody checking out and glancing down and seeing it and just sort of jumping back, Just being like, what? And then it's just like a sock. It's just a toe glove.
Is that worse than the moon boots? Like the
Uggs?
that.
I don't know.
No, the runner. The
Gotcha.
But we got to strap on the sandals and walk on out of this topic, because topic number 5 is being dished up right now, and that is tropical weather. As I glance out the window and see what appears to be a hurricane or a monsoon of some kind.
Yes, on the day that we are recording this, you missed the lovely sound of the rain from the roof.
Of the rain. If you think that's ambient white noise for you to be meditative, it's just probably the sound of the rain tapping off the roof of the studios here at the Candy Factory. In any event, where are you guys at with tropical weather? Do you like tropical weather? Do you like to be hot? Oh, Diggs' thumb is down for those of you listening on the podcast.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be neutral.
Yeah? You like the heat, Justin?
Why?
I like it as a contrast, because winter for where we are in the Northeast can be so lengthy. But as I get older, more and more it does begin to kind of wear you down and wear you out, and the humidity is really what gets you.
It's not the heat; it's the humidity.
It really is.
Yes.
Yeah. No,
It's
you're
not
right.
Yes.
Pennsylvania has these. You're right. Like sometimes April is just winter part 2, and and it's the bad winter. It's the 40 and rain, like not 32 and a beautiful fluffy snow, but more like just a miserable, bitter. And so right about this time of the year, where we're at the end of July when it's 98 degrees with 107% humidity. And we're all bitching about it. Like we really do need to just think back about 3 or 4 months and be like, really? Is this that bad?
No,
Diggs is
no.
disagreeing with me.
No, we don't.
Dig-
What is wrong with being cold? Like, I think being cold is okay. We don't need to swelter to then go, oh my God, it was terrible when it was snowing, and then like that terrible rain in April. Like, no, tropical weather is the pits. I'm sorry. It just
Have you been to? Because I have not been to a tropical location.
You have not been to a tropical location?
I have not. I mean, I guess Florida, but
Florida counts.
Yeah,
Oh, that can't. Okay.
but not
I was
like an
there,
island.
but
Not like an
in a-
island.
Not like an island. Diggs, have you
Yeah.
ever been to the Caribbean or anything like that? No.
No, my mom hasn't. I think she shares my annoyance with tropical weather too.
So last year I went to Mexico for the first time, West Coast, and it was tropical. I mean, it was hot as shit. I mean, I guess that counts. It was very much like Pennsylvania now. This was in the fall, and it was like 90 degrees outside, and it was kind of tropical. That was probably it was the first time that I would have been like not in Florida considered tropical. And I've got to say that my parents have spent a ton of time in Florida. Like my grandparents had a place in the 80s down there, and then my parents inherited it, and then they built their own place down there. They would get down, and now they snowbird. So I've spent a lot of time in Florida, and I used to just hate it. But the older I've gotten and the colder I've gotten, see what I did there? It's just like I'm starting to really see the appeal. And I'm thinking back, like I'm going, how old were my parents? When they started like basically living in Florida at least half the year, and then for about 8 years they were there full time. I was like, oh, they were about 48. And I'm like, I get it now, because my mom's the same as me. Like we're just cold. Like we're just always cold.
And I think it also. No, I think it also kind of depends like on how like we do like vacations. If you take a lot of people like to go to those locations because they like to do those things. So hang out by the pool, drink daiquiris, those kinds of things too. So I think there's there's like a culture around the tropical idea, right? So they kind of, what I mean? If you're on a resort, I mean, I think it would be different if I was like, if I was like working if I was a roofer, I don't know that I would love Florida. You know what I mean? Well, but the idea of going to a resort and like, sitting by the pool and having a drink and, just sort of relaxing and enjoying myself. Tropical weather sounds fantastic. You know what I mean? But that could certainly shift. But I'm starting to really understand the appeal, especially like
in March. You know what I mean? In Pennsylvania, or like late February, right when that drag starts.
That's fair. I will say I don't mind tropical weather when it's cold here, because at least it's not as hot, like at least the Florida tropical.
Right.
Like, it's not like 90 and 90. It's 70 and 50. Like that I can deal with that.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think if we can get our seasons back, where it's roughly 3 months of each organized throughout the year, that would be lovely.
Yeah, that's gonna take a little effort, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure we're quite there yet. But and unfortunately, I am completely segue-less out of this last topic of 5 minutes. But that is it. That is that is clearly the fastest 25 minutes of podcasting. Justin, it's been a pleasure to have you on the program. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
And we are a proud member of the Candy Factory Collective, and looking forward to sharing all kinds of new shows with everybody coming up in the next few weeks. And looking forward to seeing you. Look at that! Looking forward to seeing you on the next episode of 5x5. All right, we'll catch you next time. The Candy Factory 5x5 podcast
Is a proud member of the Candy Factory Collective. 5x5 video can be found on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn.
Subscribe to the audio version wherever you get your podcasts.
The Candy Factory 5x5 podcast is recorded at the studios of the Candy Factory,
a co-working campus in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
The show is produced and hosted by Jason Mundock,
along with co-host Robert Diggs.
Editing and additional production by Anna Tran.
The opinions and views expressed on this podcast
are solely those of the expressor.
The Candy Factory is not in any way responsible if anyone said something stupid.
Our theme music was composed
and recorded by a really cool guy.
Really cool guy.
A really cool guy.
Really cool guy named John Chin.
Relevant links and show notes
can be found on the show post
at our website, candyfactorycollective.com.
Maybe that's it.
Is that it? Okay.
Candy Factory
Collective.